Some retro cars are really cool, but fixing them? It's almost impossible. Some cars require months of searching for a single part, while others are impossible to find anywhere in the world. This is a story about forgotten metal objects, as rare as the cars themselves. Number 4. The 1958 Edsil Corsair and Ranger weren't just cars. They were part of one of the biggest failures in automotive history. Launched by Ford with massive hype and over $250 million in investment, the Edsil brand was supposed to revolutionize the mid-price car market. But what America got was a disaster on wheels. The Corsair and Ranger were the heart of the Edsil lineup. They stood out, especially with that infamous vertical grille, which critics compared to everything from a horse collar to a toilet seat. Ford called it bold. The public, not so kind. Mechanically, the Edsils weren't much different from existing Ford and Mercury models, but the few changes they did make often caused problems. For instance, the Corsair's teletouch transmission, where you shifted gears using buttons in the steering wheel hub, was not only unreliable but dangerously distracting. Drivers accidentally hit the horn when trying to shift into gear. Electrically, the cars were a mess. Power windows, gauges, and wiring systems frequently failed. And because Edsil was so short-lived, only 3 model years, replacement parts are incredibly rare today. Even the unique body panels, trim, and that grille are almost impossible to find. And let's not forget the timing. The Edsil launched right into a recession, and its styling didn't match the changing tastes of consumers. Sales were abysmal, and by 1960, the entire brand was dead. Today, the 1958 Edsil Corsair and Ranger are legends, not for their performance, but for how spectacularly they flopped. They're a reminder that no amount of marketing can save a car that people just don't want to drive. Number 3. The 1963-1964 Studebaker Avanti was one of the boldest and most futuristic American cars of its era, but it also became a symbol of a brand's last stand. Designed by famed industrial designer Raymond Loewy, the Avanti broke all the rules. Its body wasn't made of steel, it was fiberglass, molded into a sleek, aerodynamic shape that looked like nothing else on the road. With its knife-edge front end, no grille, and fastback rear, it was a car that truly looked decades ahead of its time. Under the hood, the Avanti came with a 289 cubic inch V8, and in the supercharged R2 version, it could reach over 120 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest production cars in America at the time. Studebaker marketed it as America's only 4-passenger, high-performance personal car. And for a brief moment, it lived up to the hype, but there were problems. Studebaker's South Bend factory wasn't equipped to mass-produce fiberglass bodies, which led to production delays and quality control issues. By the time the cars reached showrooms, the momentum was already lost. And then came the bigger blow. Studebaker shut down its U.S. operations in 1966. Just a few years after the Avanti's launch. That meant parts became scarce, especially interior trim, unique chassis components, and the signature Avanti glass and body panels. Today, the 1963-64 Avanti is seen as a cult classic. It was a car that dared to be different, stylish, fast, and innovative. But it came too late to save the company behind it. For collectors, it's a treasure. But for restorers, it's a challenge, because finding original parts is almost as rare as the car itself. Number 2, the 1971-1974 Pontiac Ventura 2 was Pontiac's take on the compact car trend of the early 70s. But while it shared a lot with its cousin, the Chevy Nova, it brought its own identity and its own challenges. Built on General Motors' X-body platform, the Ventura 2 had the bones of a Nova, but Pontiac gave it a more upscale feel. It featured distinct interior designs, a unique grille, trim details, and different badging. At the time, it was meant to offer Pontiac buyers a smaller, more affordable option, without sacrificing style. But here's the catch. While the Nova was mass-produced in huge numbers, Pontiac's version was built in far fewer quantities, and that's where the problems began. Today, trying to restore a Ventura 2 can be a headache. Many parts look like they should match a Nova, but they don't. Interior components like dash pieces, door panels, and seat trim were Pontiac-specific and are now extremely hard to find. Even body parts like the unique front end, taillights, and emblems are rarely seen at swap meets or in reproduction catalogs. It's a car that shares a platform but not the parts bin, and that's where restorers run into trouble. Performance-wise, the Ventura 2 was decent. You could get it with anything from an inline 6 to a V8, and by 1974 even a GTO version was offered, a last gasp of muscle before the mid-70s emissions crackdown hit. In the end, the Ventura 2 is remembered as a rare Pontiac oddity, a car that tried to blend compact practicality with classic Pontiac flair. But today, owning one means hunting for parts that seem to have vanished into thin air. It's not just a forgotten model, it's a forgotten puzzle with a few pieces permanently missing. Let me know if you want this adapted into a short video format, narrated reel, or image caption presentation. Number 1. The 1950s Packard Caribbean was a final dazzling gasp from a legendary American luxury brand, a car that tried to fight Cadillac head-on, but ended up being one of Packard's swan songs. First introduced in 1953, the Caribbean was Packard's halo car, a hand-built limited production luxury convertible with bold styling, extensive chrome, and high-end features. It came loaded with power windows, power seats, and later, even torsion-level suspension, an advanced system that gave it a remarkably smooth ride for the time. Visually, the Caribbean stood out. From its two-tone and tri-tone paint schemes to lavish interiors with premium fabrics and distinctive dashboards, it oozed 1950s glamour. But this beauty came at a price, and not just financially. Packard, already struggling by the mid-1950s, merged with Studebaker in 1954, but it was too little, too late. The quality started slipping, and production numbers for the Caribbean stayed very low. Only about 1,200 convertibles made between 1953 and 1956. Today, that rarity is both a blessing and a curse. While the Caribbean is a prized collectible, finding replacement parts is a nightmare. The chrome trim, unique bumpers, and especially the custom interior and instrument clusters are nearly impossible to locate. Unlike mass-produced Cadillacs, Caribbean parts weren't standardized. Each car had hand-fitted elements, many of which haven't been reproduced since. By 1956, Packard's identity had all but faded. The final Packards in 1957 and 58 were little more than rebadged Studebakers, and the once proud brand vanished completely soon after. The Packard Caribbean remains a shining relic of what the company once was: elegant, ambitious, and ultimately doomed.